to my artist talk. My name is Sophia Hailu. I'm a senior here at DU pursuing my BFA. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my artistic journey. And this really is a story of navigation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my origins and how it relates to my artistic career here at DU for the past 3 years. It starts with my father. He is a very artistic person, an artist from Ethiopia, and he went to the Kiev Institute of Art in Ukraine, and that's where he met my mother as well, who was also an art student. They met, they fell in love, they went to Germany and made and continued a family, and then they went to Denver, Colorado in the year 2000, and that's where we've all been ever since. And I mentioned this because my origins and my life story really affects my art practices. Throughout my life, I saw my parents not be able to use their passion or their education to create a successful or sustaining life for them. They really just took any job that they could get. And so, as a person who was also passionate about the arts, I wanted to prove that you can keep art at the center of your life while being able to be successful. And so the first work I'm going to talk to you about is called I Spill Open. This was a work that I created in my freshman year of college. This is when I was just starting to take art seriously as a career. Art and drawing was really the foundation of my life. That's what my parents taught me. And so when I took drawing, I really wanted to explore how it can continue to affect my life. Spilling Open is a book and an artwork created by Sabrina Ward Harrison, and where she kind of just poured herself into this artwork, which was like a sketchbook / journal that was published. And she really used it as a way to navigate herself and really figure out who she was. And so me creating a self-portrait in her own style was a way for me to declare that I was doing the same thing, that I wanted to use art to learn about myself and who I am. This next work that I'm showing you is called You Don't Look Like Your Mom. And this ceramic work is 3 matryoshki dolls that are made out of ceramics that are representational of the 3 women in my life. And so as you can see here, there's a few differences between the dolls. There's different styles of how the flowers are drawn, which is really a way to show our different personality traits. And one of the other big differences is our physical attributes. My mother has fair skin and blonde hair and blue eyes, while me and my sister do not. And this was a way to really explore how I felt as a biracial immigrant in America, when people constantly told me that I don't look like my mother, and are constantly surprised that I have anything to do with Ukrainian culture just because of the way I looked. I continued to learn and explore about my Ukrainian culture through this piece, which is called Hungry and Tired. It's a huge charcoal drawing. It's the first drawing that I ever made at that size. And it was really reflecting upon the famines that were in Ukraine. And so I was looking at how my ancestors struggled to find food and water and struggled to keep energy, and really reflected on how I also wasn't having much energy throughout college, and how I really needed to take care of myself since I was in a much better situation than they were in. This next piece is called Put It On Wax. It's a sculptural piece of a record player made out of tea candles, and it was really to relate tea candles as a way for me to calm myself and as a way for me to create a sanctuary for myself, and how I use music as a sanctuary as well, and as a way to get myself through hard times in life. And so Put It On Wax was a way to relate candles and music and relaxation and sanctuary. After I explored music and culture in Denver, Colorado, I moved to London and studied abroad at Goldsmiths. And one thing that I realized is how big London was. This is a picture of the view from my studio in London, and it was so vast and huge, and I was a little bit overwhelmed. And so the way that I really navigated art was through drawing again. I posted up a big drop cloth canvas, and I listened to music that I thought were really true works of art, and I reacted on the actual drawing. And so I called it Raw Reaction. And So it was a way for me to really get back into art and get back into music through drawing. And once I got more comfortable and met more people, I really noticed how international people were. This is a group of me and my friends, and we're all from different places. We all speak different languages, and it felt very familiar to my own household when I was exposed to different languages and different cultures. I loved language so much that me and my sister used to mimic different conversations through gibberish. And when I took this game to me and my friends, I really noticed that we all have different versions of our gibberish. And I thought that was interesting because we all had different upbringings, we all spoke different languages, and so it was a way for me to look at culture and sound together and really look at conversation without the meaning of sound. And this launched the Gibberish Project, where I recorded people speaking in gibberish, either having a conversation with me or telling a story. And I took it a step further by also trying to mimic conversation through an instrument, trying to think about conversation and stories without the actual meaning of each direct word, but just thinking about the general sound of language. And so here's a little snippet of what I created through that project. And so after I spent the year in London, I took a trip to Ukraine to meet my grandparents and my aunt there. And one of my favorite things that I found there were the photographs. Me and my sister sat down with my grandfather and my grandmother, and we all looked at photos and listened to the stories that they would tell. And this launched a project that I created in my senior year called Stories from Diedushka, where I put all these photos that he took himself on the wall, and I also had a QR code that led to an audio of him telling stories about those photos. And I thought this was really powerful because it created the same environment that I had. And there's no translation to the actual story because I didn't really understand everything that was said as well. And also, it really just was about the actual story of the language and not necessarily the meaning of the actual stories that he was telling us. After I came back to London and then came back to the US, I had to figure out a way to get back into art again. And so I went back to drawing. I created this character that was based off of me as a kid, and then I created more drawings of her, placed her in the desert, and started creating a story of her taking life step by step through this desert, not knowing what to do. And this led to me creating an animation, which is something that I've always wanted to do because the first musical works of art that I really fell in love with was soundtracks by Hans Zimmer. And I really loved how he drove the movie through his music. And so I created my own music and created an animation to go with it using this character. So here's a little snippet of that. So what does the future bring me? Well, I have my big BFA show in the spring, and I'm going to continue to make these animations for this show. And in the summer, I also hope to create a fuller story for this character. After that, I'm hoping that the world is my oyster. I really don't know where I will navigate to next, but I'm hoping that wherever it is, it will enrich my art practice and enrich my life. Thank you. Do you have any questions?